I was talking to Charlie Slows today, the voice of the Nationals, and I asked him, I said, are you excited that baseball is coming back? And he says, I'm very excited, but the problem is I don't know where I'm going to be stationed. Am I going to be stationed in a box or am I going to be stationed at the stadium? So I don't even know where I'm going to be stationed moving forward being that there's a 60-game season. So it's going to be very interesting how the MLB is going to move forward with this, especially not even knowing if they're going to be playing in their home places. Are they going to be a certain area of places where some of these teams are going to be stationed? And are they going to have a grapefruit league or a cactus league or kind of maneuver the division? So what are your thoughts with moving into the season now, Jose, with this team, the Anaheim Angels, with some of the star power that they have? They have arguably, well, it's not even arguably, he is the best player in the MLB. He's been the best player in the MLB, and Mike Trout. What are your thoughts with this team moving forward, knowing that there's a 60-game season with Joe Maddon as the manager?
Well, Joe Maddon becomes, a key piece here because Joe Maddon is as creative and as inventive and as good a motivator as there is to know that this is what the season brings. Well, this is what we have to do. Take care of business. Nobody is at a disadvantage here. I mean, if anything, if you get off to a good start and you maintain momentum, you might roll yourself right into the playoffs. And the Angels obviously have not been to the playoffs in a while, so it will be advantageous to go out there and play good baseball right from the get-go. The other thing, too, is there's not going to be a Cactus League or a Grapefruit League, obviously, for health reasons and travel and all that kind of stuff. But the teams will start working out on July 1st. They will train in their home cities. The only team that cannot train in their home city is Toronto, the Blue Jays, because of the restrictions on travel to Canada. But overall, guys are going to be happy that they're going to be staying home, be home with their families every single night. One of the toughest things really is going to be to get, amped up in 3 weeks to get to playing shape and playing level and mentality. But that's just the challenge that is out there for everybody. And the other good thing about this, too, is that the rosters will start probably around 30 and then be minimized as the season progresses. So it's going to give a lot of guys opportunities to make the team, make an impression. You can bulk up your pitching staffs. And for the Angels, now the Los Angeles Angels, if people hear you say Anaheim, some people get very upset. So I'm not going to use Anaheim. Make sure you lose. We just say Angels. That's what we do. You say the Angels. But you know what? For many people, it's hard to lose the that instinct. It's it's that reaction. Anaheim Angels. That's how they won back in 2002. But I look forward to it. I look forward to what this new challenge brings. I mean, there's going to be a taxi squad, probably 50 or 60 players that are going to be ready because obviously there's not going to be a minor league season. So it's going to be providing a lot of chances for a lot of guys. But you got to be ready. You got to be ready to execute. You got to play the game. And know that, to me, one of the key pieces here becomes your middle relief. Those guys that are going to be able to hold you for 2-3 innings, right after starters come out. Starters, I'm not going to be out at 110 pitches. So you got to understand that the middle relief becomes important like never before in the game of baseball, to have guys and candidates and piggyback on guys, piggyback on starters if you need to, according to who you play. So things are going to be different in so many respects. The DH rule, obviously, for this season will be implemented on both sides, but the travel is going to be, restricted only to within your division, and then your division rivals in the other league. That's the way it's going to be done. So there's going to be very little travel outside your area, your region. So it's going to be fun for us, at least. And maybe Charlie was not informed from his team yet, but at least we know that the plan for the Angels is to broadcast the games from the stadium, to do our pre and post game shows from the stadium, and as of right now, and the radio broadcast also from the stadium. That's as of right now. I mean, things could change, but at least in that case, watching games and doing the games on the road from an empty stadium and a booth, it's not going to be a problem. You got to go out there and just take care of doing your job. And that's something that I did for 5 years, actually. That's how I started my TV career, broadcasting Major League Baseball, watching games and calling them off the monitors for 5 years at Fox. And those are national games, big games, a World Series. I did Cotton Bowl. I did a Super Bowl. I did, Sammy and McGuire '98 World Series. You name it. So it's going to be a challenge. But we're just happy for the people of this country that have gone through so much, and people around the world. With so many international stars that are going to see their heroes back in uniform playing baseball. Hopefully, too, and I say hopefully, there's not going to be a setback with the coronavirus, because if you think about what happened here the last week or so between the Phillies, the Giants, the Jays, and these positives that came out, and if baseball had started 2 weeks ago, the season would have been halted right now.
Right.
So let's hope that once they get going, all these protocols are taken care of, and the players that want to be tested now daily, I think it's going to be a good thing. I'm very happy.
You talked about Joe Maddon and the creativity of it, and now we have a shortened season, potentially probably 60 games. Do you think, though, that kind of style managerially, whether it's him or whether it's other managers, younger managers across the league, will be more in play because of the 60 games or less?
They're going to have to use whatever the personnel dictates, but because of how quick this is going to happen, if you think about, pitchers start in spring training with 3 innings or so, right? 2 innings, 30 pitches. Then they go to 3 innings, 45 pitches. Then they go to 60. Then they go to 75, and so forth. By the time they leave, at least they've hit 90 or 100 pitches. The Angels' plan for this season was for guys to leave spring training at around 105, 110 pitches going into the season. So that's going to be different. We don't know how much you're going to be able to implement a routine playing against your own guys, because there's not going to be, a Cactus League or a Grapefruit League. You're going to be playing inter-squad games, and sometimes it's hard to get amped up for those games and get the fluids going and get everything, the adrenaline, competitiveness. But they're going to have to find a way. But, in that respect, the managing style for Joe is ideal because he knows what he has. He's got guys that get on base, the David Fletcher, the Tommy Lastellas, Anderson Simmons. They have the clutch guys. They have the veteran guys in Albert Pujols. They have the best player in the game. You got Rendon. You got, Jason Castro. You got Upton. You have Brian Goodwin. So it's going to be interesting. But Joe has plenty of weapons, I believe, to go out there and at least pressure teams right from the get-go, run the bases hard, take the extra base. Don't be afraid to go first or third. Push the issue. And the more pressure you put on the defense from the very get-go, well, the tougher you're going to be to defend, because obviously it might take sluggers. Remember, it might take sluggers a little bit to get going and find that home run stroke. So you better be able to create runs no matter what to make sure that you have an advantage.
We are talking to Angels TV broadcaster Jose Mota. Now, Jose, when you look at, you were talking about the roster of the Angels, and they have a tremendous amount of talent. And you added Anthony Rendon, who had one of his best seasons last year, was a big part of the Nationals winning the World Series last year. When you look at Shohei Ohtani, who a lot of people were talking about, he not only is he a fantastic hitter in the lineup, you could put him anywhere in the lineup. He hits for power, he hits for average, but this guy is one of the most dominant young pitchers in baseball. Coming back from Tommy John's, he hasn't really pitched in practically almost 2 years. What are your thoughts of him coming back this season, his 60-game season, and showing his talent on the mound?
Oh, it's going to be amazing. I mean, if anything, Shohei Ohtani could be the guy that's ahead of everybody right now, because he has been on his throwing program. He has been throwing against hitters, and he's a monster, man. He's a beast. You just watching videos of him working out, throwing to live hitters, and pumping some fastballs in there is pretty impressive. And Shohei, what he brings, I mean, is something that we have never seen in Major League Baseball, other than, back in the days of Babe Ruth, obviously, when we didn't see it. But to see it every day and to see the talent on the field, to see how young he is, his interactions and adaptation to the culture, and how he's beloved by the fans, his teammates, and just a quiet, unassuming guy who's a mega rock star in Japan, who comes here and fits in well with everybody and just puts on a display every time he's on the mound. And when he's at home plate, it's one of those times where you don't want to go in and get anything like concessions, because he might put on a show or do something you've never seen before. And plus, Shohei can run. Shohei is one of the fastest guys on the team, in fact, in Major League Baseball. And Shohei creates a lot of havoc when he's in the bases, and he wants to be active in the bases, which I love. The difference is going to be, compared to last year, that he's not going to be able to be on the field as a hitter every single day. But, again, another challenge for Joe Maddon. We'll see what happens. And because you don't have the luxury of shutting him down for 3 days, that perhaps Shohei might be hitting on days when he's also pitching. So that's going to be a lot of fun to follow and to see how creative he can be, knowing that you cannot push it too hard, knowing that obviously with a short season, the playoffs are right around the corner. You don't want to be losing guys and sacrifice guys because of the early going and not have them available later on.
Can you see the trend of Shohei Ohtani-like players, guys that are just very good athletes that could hit and pitch? Can you see that being a new trend in baseball, maybe not next year or this year or the following year, but maybe like 5 years from now, if Ohtani does become successful?
Well, Shohei has shown that he's successful. He's done it. It's not easy to do. I mean, he's got to have obviously the athletic ability, the skills, the tools, the mindset, and the discipline to also know how to kind of balance things out. From time of the cage, from throwing the bullpens, from what he watches on video to get ready for a game against a pitcher or a game against hitters. So all that goes into consideration and how special this guy is and the mentality that he does possess. But in becoming a trend, you got to be good. I mean, you can't just do it just to do it. You cannot just make guys do it. Everybody wants to, if you ask an infielder, they might say, hey, I want to pitch. But everybody thinks they can pitch. And it's like pitcher. It's like a pitcher. A pitcher, he's like, oh, I could hit it. I mean, it's not easy to do. If it was easy to do, more guys would have done it, not just 2 years ago, but many, many years ago and throughout the history of the game. So because it's not easy to do, I don't think it's going to become a trend. More teams will try it for sure because of Shohei, and teams are trying it, even drafting kids and saying, oh, this guy projects as a two-way player. But you know what? It gets to a point with so many games, so many demands on your body, on your mind, on the travel and the minor leagues and the buses and the learning. There's a curve that needs to happen also in learning. Which position are you going to be more advanced in? And at some point, when it comes down to your talent, which side is more developed, and major league teams have to be forced to decide, well, this guy's going to help us more as a pitcher, so we need a pitcher now, and then that's how decisions are made.
We are talking to Angels TV broadcaster Jose Mota. Now, Jose, I'm a big Albert Pujols fan when he played for the Cardinals. And last season, everybody keeps saying he's breaking down, but last season he had a sensational season. I know he didn't bat for average. He was batting .244, but he had 23 home runs. He had 93 RBIs, and he was the best player in baseball really in the early 2000 era. Now you're talking about Mike Trout and the growth of Mike Trout, of what he has been the last 7 or 8 years as a player, and really has taken over baseball. And this guy could be one of the greatest baseball players by the time he's done and retiring. When you look at Albert Pujols and his leadership, do you see his leadership on the field as much as you've seen Mike Trout develop as a player?
Oh, they're connected. I mean, Albert has become a different player because of Trout. And Trout is the first one to tell you he's thankful to have guys like Albert Pujols. And, obviously he had Torrey Hunter here before, but Albert's been the one in his ear since day one, and Albert's been a guy that lived it. Albert, I mean, if you put Albert's first 10 years in the big leagues, I don't see anybody in the history of the game matching those numbers. Nobody. No Trout, no Manny Ramirez, no Miguel Cabrera. Nobody's ever had 10 years like Albert Pujols did. And I think people forget that, and we should not forget that. I mean, that's history, man. We're talking about a walking Hall of Famer, still producing, as you mentioned. Many people critique Albert for his legs and lack of speed or not walking. Albert's a productive player, man, and this guy wants to win with the best. And one thing about Albert, too, is he's done it before. He's hungry. I think one of the best things now is that we have Tony La Russa here with the organization. That's a huge asset. Tony's done it before with Albert. Albert is inspired and wants to learn. He wants to win so badly for owner Artie Moreno, who has put so many resources, and effort into building a winner. And for a guy like Pujols, for those that say that RBIs don't matter, it's just a product where you hit. Well, I totally am against that. I just don't believe that, because not everybody that you put in number 4 spot is going to drive in 100 runs or 120 runs. You got to know how to drive in runs. If it was that easy to drive in runs, then why aren't there more people in the 2,000 RBI club? And that's the way I defend Albert. No, he's not the same player. Of course not. Mike Trout's not going to be the same player, in 7 years. That's just reality. That's what the game is. And we have to understand that guys evolve and they decline. But at the same time, I'll take 23 and 93 from a 25-year-old right now that perhaps is being talked about highly, that's never going to get to that number only because he walks. He's talked about highly. So, Albert's getting paid to hit home runs and drive in runs, and to me, forget about it. He is as productive as they've come, and there's no doubt that he fits more the prototype old-style player, but this guy is a winner wherever he is because he knows how to play the game. He knows how to be a good offensive player and how to impact also his teammates.